Welcome to Chapter 2 of Memoirs of a White Guy. I'm Luke Kidgell, and I'm white. That's the worst start. Thank you very much for joining me again, and thank you so much to every single person who rated it on iTunes, rated the first episode. It did insanely well. Like at first, right, the night I uploaded it, I was like, I'll check the charts, see if I made the top 300. And I scrolled down to about 200. I'm like, I didn't make it. And then I just kept scrolling down to see what the top podcasts were. And this was at number 70. And I was like, whoa, that's really cool. And then I went up to 50, and then I went up to 40, 30. And it got in the top 20 podcasts in Australia for like 3 days. At first, I was like, wow, top 70. Then it moved up. I was like, wow, top 60. Then it moved up again. I'm like, wow, top 40. This is insane. Wow. And then it moved up top 30. I was like, oh my God, top 30. And then it went to the top 20. I'm like, wow, iTunes is broken. Because there's no way that me talking about The Bachelor is better than Bill Burr. That's all I'm saying. One of my favorite comedians. And I was like, there's no way I'm above that. But the reason it got so high up in the charts was because so many of you rated it 5 stars on iTunes, which is a massive help. And if you haven't done that already, keep listening. Don't do it yet. Listen to the rest of the podcast. Then at the end, if you think it's worth 5 stars, definitely go on and rate it 5 stars. And if you think it's not worth 5 stars, eat a bag of dicks and still go rate it on iTunes anyway. That'd be bang on. Now, what's been happening this week? One of my best mates from running, I do athletics, right? Ran in the Paralympics in Rio. It was awesome. So this kid, he's 17 now, and he's just like the nicest kid you'll know. He's vision impaired, and he came 7th in the 1500 and 7th in the 5K, and he's only 17. He was the youngest kid in both of his races. Youngest man. He's running with men. He's the youngest guy in the race by 6 years. So even in 4 years' time in Tokyo, when he runs again in the Olympics, he'll be still the youngest by 2 years. That's insane. Unless there's some other guy younger. Doubt it. But yeah, that was so awesome to watch one of your friends, A, on TV, and B, kill it on TV. So that was pretty awesome. We got all the fellas around here to my house because parents are in Port Douglas. Whoop. It's been a crazy week for me and my brother. Several loose things have happened. Like, for example, I moved my desk chair into the lounge room. No one's told me off about it. No one's like, hey, Luke, move your desk chair. It's a lounge room. There's no desk. But I was recording the podcast in my desk chair last week because it's comfy and it has sick lumbar support. So no one can tell me otherwise. And that's the kind of crazy life I live. The point is, so we invited everyone over to our house to watch like all the AS people. A few mates from us to watch our mate Jared. His name's Jared Clifford, run in the Olympics. And it was insane. Like, he got interviewed, and we were just like, I know him. And then he like gave a shout out. He's like, oh, thanks to all the training group at home. And we were like, oh my God, that's us. So that was the most famous I'd felt all week, despite being in the top 20 podcasts on iTunes. You know what? All that shows is no one listens to podcasts because I can see how many people listen to this, and I was top 20, and I was like, yeah, a lot of people listen, which is insane. But I'm like, really, top 20? Thank you, iTunes. Thank you for breaking for 72 hours. I think I'm going to try and get Jared on the podcast in the next couple of weeks. He's still in Rio right now. But when he comes back, I think he'd be a very funny guest because he's very self-deprecating about his vision impairment and his disability and stuff. And he always has ripper stories to tell from being around other people. Imagine being in the Olympic Village with so many people who have disabilities or whatever. And honestly, some of the stories he's told me, and it's not rude or it's not being mean towards the people with disabilities. It's just they pull pranks on each other. Actually, no, it is being mean. But they be mean to each other, so it's somehow okay. He was rooming with a guy who has a prosthetic leg, and the fun thing to do was wake up before him and put his prosthetic leg on a high cupboard so he can't reach it. And hilarity ensues. It's the funniest thing ever because I watched the video, and it would be like if I did that, it'd be like the worst thing ever. But if Jared does it because he's not in the same boat. He doesn't have a prosthetic leg, because he's he's legally blind, right? Because he has a vision impairment, it's somehow the funniest thing in the world. And it's not like the guy was pissing himself, Jared was pissing himself, the other roommates were pissing themselves. I was pissing myself watching the video, and yeah, this is there's no way I can get out of this without sounding like a bit of a dick. It was just really funny. Yeah, the point is, I'm gonna get Jared on, and I think he'd be really good about, like, he'd be really interesting to talk to about the dedication and the training he's put in to make it into the Olympics. Like, it was like, as someone who like trained alongside him for a while, it was, by the way, I'm like not nearly up to his standard, but someone who watched his training and stuff, it was insane to the amount of dedication and effort that it goes to kind of be that level at something. So I think that'd be an interesting chat. So I wanted to talk about this week. I'm working on this new theory. Well, it's not a new theory. It's just when like you do comedy, right? So often you don't get paid a lot of money for doing comedy, but sometimes when you do, you get paid like a ridiculous amount for the time you spend on stage. So it might be like a 10-minute gig, and you might get $50 or $100 or whatever. And if you think about that, but then again, you do like 20 gigs in a row where you don't get paid at all, but then you do like a 10-minute spot where we get paid $100, and it's like, oh, that's $10 a minute kind of thing. And it's so much better. Like, and I have a job as well. I work at a golf club, right? But how good is doing fuck all and getting paid for it? Like, it's so much more satisfying than actually earning your money. Like, when I earn money at the golf club, I'm like, oh, like this, it's fine. It's a normal wage or whatever. But, and I'm actually working for it. And I'm like, yeah, and other people go, oh, it's so much more satisfying when you earn the money. No. When you get paid for doing literally talking and telling people dick jokes, it is so much more satisfying. Like, that's how drug dealers must feel every single day. Like, every single day they must wake up and, like, just watch TV, make $1,000 and being like, this is the shit. Because that's how I do. Whenever I go to a gig and I'm like, man, I'm getting paid tonight to talk, that money is way more satisfying to earn than getting, like, and also, I'll go to, like, 10 gigs in a row, get no money, and hate myself. But, man, when you get a paid gig, that shit is good, and you feel like royalty. But that attitude right there is literally what is wrong with our generation. Like, how bad is that? We all know, the people who are my age, I don't know what generation we are, but the people who are, like, teenagers now and in their early 20s, we know we're messed up. Like, we know we're lazy, we know we're pathetic, but we have the opportunity of inheritance, and our parents didn't. So we can, like, just wait. I mean, we don't really need to work hard. So that's why, to me, it's so much more fun getting paid for doing nothing. And because, our parents are like, come on, you need to change your attitude. You're like, you need to start working hard. But it's easier to just not change. And because how good's Netflix and stuff? Like, they didn't have that. And that's why they were motivated citizens of society. But, when you've got other distractions, really, like, they didn't have Unilad articles. Like, I just read an article. This is what happens when you pour molten copper into a coconut. I watched a 5-minute video on some guy pouring lava into a coconut. That was the best shit ever. Why would I get a job when I can watch science like that? I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't know where my point is this. The point is how good is doing nothing. No, but, like, here's the thing. I work my ass off with things that I like. So, like, comedy and stuff, I will pretty much put all my waking hours into trying to make this work for myself, which is why I'm sitting here talking shit to myself, which is strange, by the way. The reason why the first episode last week I felt was a bit awkward and I didn't reference it once is because it was the first time that I'd ever spoken to myself for 30 minutes straight. Like I was left alone with my own thoughts for 30 minutes, which is why it just ended up being about The Bachelor, which I'm going to address later on the episode. Oh my God, this has been going for 10 minutes, and I've talked about, like, one thing I wanted to talk about. Okay, what else do I want to talk about? Actually, no. This is kind of a good segue. I want to talk about news articles. I get all my news from online news publications, but not like the classy ones. Not like, say classy ones. Not like 9MSN or, ABC News. Like, not like any, or even the Herald Sun, if you're going to go there, or The Age. Not like the credible online news publications. I get all my news from either the Facebook news feed, the trending news, or LadBible and Unilad. That is why I'm very uneducated and I didn't know what generation I was in before. Because, like, my type of news, like, I won't know what's happening in Syria or the refugees or about the immigration policy or whatever, but I know what happens when you pour molten copper into a coconut. So, really, who's the real winner? Who's really missing out? Me. This is like, and the other day, and it really hit home the other day, because I know this about myself. I'm aware that, yeah, that's how I get most of my news. But it really hit home the other day when LadBible posted a live video that just read, wait, I'll get the video up. Hang on a sec. I'll pause the podcast. All right, I've got the video up. It was a live stream. So LadBible posted like a live stream that just read, so all it is, it's a megaphone sitting on a table, and then they posted, first person to find us and shout, dicks out for Harimbe, down the megaphone, gets 50 pounds. That's my biggest news source. Those are the guys who are teaching me the ways of the world. That is when it hit home that I think I should pick up a newspaper for once in my life and stop being an idiot. But yeah, because it's always like, you see like two types of news articles. It'll be like, so the Herald Sun might read like, equality for all, Australia legalizes gay marriage. And then BuzzFeed will be like, Boy Scout gets laid, click here to see the pictures. Click, that's something I have to see. Like, well, how does he pick up? Like, does he use his badges? Does he go, oh, look at this knot, it's tight, wink? Or like, what does he do? I mean, that's impossible. By the way, both very unlikely to happen in the near future, sadly, in Australia. Gay marriage and a Boy Scout getting his dick wet. But that's just a sad truth. I'm all for marriage equality. Want to make that clear. But sadly, our government's messed up. And I said at the start of this podcast, you would never hear my political opinion, but that is a slight political opinion of mine. Marriage equality, big tick. Moving on. So I got a text right in the break when I was looking for the Dicks Out for Harimbe video. And from my good friend, he's another comedian. Some of you may know his work, Lewis Spears, right? And some of you may be watching me because you've seen me tour with him. I was with him in Sydney and Brisbane. So he just messaged me then, right? Just hit 1 million views on that video of the tall basketballer. So on that video I posted of the tall basketballer that everyone says looks like me. Why even bother making videos? I'm retiring. Now this is something that I've been thinking about all week, and it's something I was going to discuss anyway. So what happened is, Lewis, he's got a pretty big online profile, posted a video, gave credit and everything. It's just like, it's kind of just like a meme. Like, there was this really tall, lanky basketball in America, like insane, like 7 foot, almost like, probably almost 8 foot tall, just running around. And Lewis is very tall, right? And he said, stop, everyone stop tagging me in this, and just posted it as a joke, right? Was saying, yeah, I'm tall, and everyone keeps tagging me in this video of the tall basketballer. It got 1 million views in like 3 days, and his page got like 2,000 extra likes and stuff. And he's like, why even bother making videos? Which is true. But, and I don't even blame people, because that's the kind of shit that people tag in on the internet. People are like, oh my God, this guy's really tall. But whenever me or him try and make original content, it'll get like max like a fifth of the amount of views, because it's original and it's actually well written. But it's like, oh, a tall basketballer with funny music in the background, tag 8 of my friends. Which, by the way, I don't blame anyone, because that shit is hilarious. Like, my point is that as someone who tries to create original comedic content, I find memes and stupid videos like that 10 times funnier than the shit I'm making. Like, I don't even know why I try to make videos, because no matter how good a video I write and film, Nothing is funnier than a meme referencing Nitro from The Shack. Nothing. Or that video during the week of the guy crying, laughing, and singing different variations to the Bon Jovi lyrics. So he sees like a lipstick on a pear and he's like, whoa, lipstick on a pear. And then he'll see like another thing, he'll be like, whoa, kitten on a stair. And that was the funniest thing I saw all week. My point is that how am I supposed to compete with that gold? I can't compete with that. So if you ever see someone making original content online, I think it's important that you give it kind of recognition that someone's actually written this, blah, blah, blah. This is just me complaining because my videos do shit. But you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to create like a meme and an in-joke, and it's so funny. Don't get me wrong. It's the funniest shit in the world. But when you see someone making original content, and by the way, the people who are listening to this aren't the problem, because you guys are listening to me talk for half an hour and are really supporting a content creator and a comedian in quotation marks like myself. But yeah, some of the people, they're just like, oh, but this guy stuck off his bike, 8 million views. 8 million views. Like, I made a Pokemon video, 500,000 views. It was the least funny video I ever made. I jumped in the water off a pier in search of a Pokemon when Pokemon Go came out. There was no jokes, and that got 500,000 views. I spent like 8 hours on a video reviewing Avril Lavigne, 300 views. Me jumping into water, 500,000. Me roasting Avril Lavigne good as for like 6 minutes, 300 views. Blows my mind, makes me angry. What's next? Questions. Questions is what's next. So I asked very politely if people could send in questions, and some of you did, so thank you very much. Now, also keep sending in the questions, luke.kidgell@gmail.com, or on my Facebook page. That's where people sent me them this week. Keep doing it because it's very fun. So this is going to be pretty good reading them out. So I'll start off. First question is from Sophie. She's written, hey Luke, question for the podcast. Cause it's already Wednesday and I want another chapter. These giggles are great. Thank you, Sophie. She said, but as a female, and I don't know, what is it like having a dick? Sophie, thank you for the question. Am I really the person in your life that should be answering that? Like, am I really, like, do you not have another close male friend? I don't know Sophie at all. I've never met, I mean, she's obviously listening to the podcast, so she seems like a good lad. But am I really the person in your life that needs to be answering that question? What is it like having a dick? I'll answer it, but just take a look. Like, so walk, I don't know how far away your bathroom is, but walk to your bathroom, then turn to the side in which the mirror is on and take a damn good look at yourself, because really you're asking a stranger what it's like to have a dick. But lucky you asked a stranger who's pretty happy to answer it. Having a dick is fun. This is the thing, I don't know any better. I mean, what's it like not having a dick? See? Right back at ya. Having a dick is awesome. You can whip it out. Like the other night, I went out on the town, and you know, you've had a couple of drinks, you break the seal early, you get out of the cab, and a few of the girls and were like, oh my God, I really need to pee. And a few moments like, oh my God, really need to pee. We all dived out of the cab, ran into an alley, pissed behind a skip, but the girls had to wait till we got in the venue. That is why having a dick is fun and convenient. Fun and convenient, I would say, are the two main things. I mean, I guess the reason why dicks are stupid, like that's why everyone jokes about them, everyone talks about them, because they're weird. Like, you're like, look, it's a, you know what I mean? Like, that's why we all laugh about them, because we're all weirded out by dicks are weird. Anyway, I don't want to talk about dicks, but yet you asked the question what it's like to have one. It's fine. Having one's fine. You pee out of it, you whip it around like a helicopter, you use it as a joystick when you're playing video games. I mean, what do you want to know? It's just there. It's a sexual organ. everyone's got one. Well, not 50% of people have got one. So really, I just don't think I'm the person to answer this question. I hope I've given a good enough answer without getting too crass. It's just fun. Dicks are fun. That's the worst way to end that with. Imagine if you just accidentally skip to this part of the podcast and you just came in and, yeah, dicks are fun. Next question, sent in by Jason. Hey dude, spelt dude wrong. Just listened to your first podcast and I rated it. Thank you, Jason. Honestly, I was going into it expecting a white supremacist agenda, but I can't say I was disappointed. Wait, so I did put forth a white supremacist agenda apparently in the first episode. I mean, unless he was referencing the bit where I said that Black lives don't matter and the bit where I talked about my fascist regime, I mean, unless he's talking about that part of last week's podcast, then maybe I did. But other than that, I don't think my Bachelor chat was pushing a white agenda at all. So, no, it's all serious though. Not cool, mate. Anyway, I'll keep reading the question. Anyway, Nazism aside. Okay, you're right. So he's putting my Nazism. My question is, fuck, marry, kill. Okay. Former PM Julia Gillard, Marge Simpson, and the Predator from Predator. Keep it real, Kidgell, XX. Okay. Predator. You didn't have to say the Predator from Predator. I know you're not going to be talking about, like, just a random predator looming the streets. Okay, so I would probably have... Oh, man, none of these are good options at all. At all. I mean, I would probably... You'd probably have sex with Julia Gillard because she's the only real person in there. I mean, can you even have sex with a cartoon? So I'd probably have sex with Julia Gillard. Oh, my God. Marry Marge Simpson and kill the Predator. Because how tough would that be? It'd be like me and Arnie. We'd be the only two. We just slam it. That'd be sick. So like, and I could go brag about it to Marge. And that'd be a good lifestyle. Going around, killing the Predator, and then doing press conferences with me and Marge Simpson. And that way she wouldn't be the biggest celebrity in the relationship. I would be known for my murder. But not really murder, my capture of a predator. So thanks for the question, Jason. Hope that answers it. Have sex with Julia, marry Marge, and kill the predator, because that would be tough as. Next question is from John. He just wrote, question, why did your podcast give me an awkward boner? Now, I don't think, similar to Sophie's question, I don't think that's something that I can answer. I think you, John, need to follow the same steps that I told Sophie. So you just walk to, actually, you know what? Walk to your dresser. Your parents, if you don't have a dresser, walk to your mum and dad's dresser. Now look in their mirror and you take a damn good look at yourself too, John, because I can't answer why my white supremacist agenda gave you an awkward boner. I can't. I mean, maybe Elena from The Bachelor, I talked about her last week, maybe she gave you an awkward boner. If so, you're not alone. But I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. That's my answer. I don't know why your podcast gave me an awkward boner. I don't think it gave Jason an awkward boner. Or maybe it did. Maybe that's how he wanted to know if I'd banged Julia or not. Yeah, maybe my podcast gives people awkward boners. I never thought. See, that wasn't my intention going in. My intention was just, hey, here's me. Here's a funny podcast. But apparently I'm turning people on. So I apologize. Is that why everyone's been asking me about dicks? Because that's what I guess I did talk about dicks a lot last week. And this week, again, I'm still talking about dicks. So John, can't answer your question. I have no idea why my podcast gave me an awkward boner. I've got, I have had a couple of ideas. Maybe it was Elena. Maybe it was all that Osher Gunsberg chat. Maybe that got you right off. But other than that, really, man, you probably shouldn't be cracking semis during this podcast. I would say, yeah, that's what it's like having a dick. Going back to Sophie's question, you can be listening to, I think I'm a lot younger than John as well, judging by his profile. But you can be listening to a podcast of a random guy, a 20-year-old male who's like probably 5 years younger than you, and you can just crack a semi like that, and for no reason. And that's pretty much what it's like having a dick. So there you go. I've answered one question. Next question. This actually, I've got what's the time? 25 minutes. Okay, we're kind of running out of time. Keep on sending your questions in because I haven't got many more left. I've got a couple left I can answer next week, but I will need more. So please answer your question. I've got one more. So this one was sent in from email. It was sent in by Kira. She said, have you been to Adelaide? If so, what are your thoughts? I have been to Adelaide for one night. I went to Adelaide. It was on Central Australia trip in year 12. And I was in, the only thing I've ever seen of Adelaide is a caravan park and Swedish exchange students. So it was a real up and down experience. It was like caravan park, Swedish exchange students. Caravan. So really, I'm indifferent about Adelaide or Radelaide. Honestly though, actually no, I've spent 2 nights in it because on the way back we went to Adelaide as well. I don't remember on the way back because maybe it was just a caravan park without the Swedish exchange students. So and by the way, that's not referencing girls. Man, there were all Swedish people are insanely attractive. Like, the guys, oh my god, there was this guy with just the dreamiest eyes. And I was like, John, I just cracked an awkward semi from staring into his soul. It was incredible. And so really, you're right, I do have pretty fond memories of Adelaide. But yeah, hoping to get to Adelaide next year, doing some stand-up. So definitely will be in Adelaide next year, but I just need to know, by the way, if you're listening from a certain place and you want me to come do stand-up in your city or whatever, and you'd be actually interested to come, please let me know, because then I will come. Because, yeah, I can really only go to the places if I think I can, if people are going to come. Otherwise, it's not worth my time, obviously. So, yeah, let me know. So I'm definitely trying to get to Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, all next year. Maybe Tassie, although not too keen on, 8 fingers. See, that's the second Tasmanian joke. Not fair, Luke. Not fair. I made one last week. I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to come to Tasmania now. Maybe New Zealand as well, but that's probably maybe a couple of years off. But hopefully New Zealand. So yeah, have I been to Adelaide? Yes. If so, my thoughts were, that's it. Honestly haven't really seen a lot of Adelaide. But, everyone says it's rad. Adelaide, so I'm gonna have to get there. That was a shit joke. Yeah, that's the end of the questions. There are some more questions. Sorry if I didn't get time to answer your question, but I do need to wrap it up soon. Except there's one more thing I needed to discuss. So during the week, actually no, this last question, it's not really a proper question, but this last question is a great segue into it. I got asked. This was on Snapchat, so it wasn't even through the official method. Okay, also, I'm all over the shop here. If you want to send in a question, luke.kidgell@gmail.com or at my Facebook page. Now, this question was sent in on Snapchat, so not the official medium, but Snapchat's also fine. Tom said, are you a skater boy? And if so, who is the girl who you said see you later? Now, what he's referencing is I did a video during the week where I roasted Avril Lavigne, as I mentioned earlier, and so that's, I'm assuming, what he's referencing. I'm not going to answer your question, Tom, but it's a great segue into what I talked about. So when I'm doing my research for these kind of like videos where I review people, I always end up down a rabbit hole on YouTube of their videos. So I end up watching, that's why I pulled up in the video. I pulled up footage from her Live in Buffalo concert in 2003. That's how far down I got. And I found this interview, right, of Avril Lavigne. It is the most hypocritical interview I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm going to show it to you now. I'm going to play it, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it. But I'm just getting up now. She says something, and then immediately goes back on it, no more than 10 seconds later. It's incredible to watch. So I've edited all the good bits together, so it's a quick bit, because we're running out of time on the podcast. Okay, here's how the interview starts.
I never once ever called myself punk to anybody. Maybe I have some punk characteristics about me. Did I say that properly? Yeah.
Okay, so what she's saying, she doesn't even know how to say words. But So what she's saying is, the whole interview is she's getting cut at people for calling her punk. And she's like, I don't want to be called a punk. I'm not a punk. That's what she's saying. And this is what she goes on to say no more than 15 seconds later.
I'm not a punk rocker. It's more punk to tell people you're not punk than to sit there and say that you are punk. And whatever.
So she says, I'm not a punk rocker, but it's more punk to say people you're not punk, which is what she's saying. So you're just a dumb... Anyway, I couldn't put this in the video because I was just so stupid. And I'm like, but I really want to talk about it in the podcast. And she keeps going. It doesn't stop there.
What punk is punk is a little delinquent.
So she defines punk, which is fair enough. So she goes, here's what I think punk is. But she's just stated that she's not punk. So she's gone, punk is a little delinquent. Fair enough. Now, a little delinquent might be someone with a bad attitude, someone who likes to throw shit around and go nuts, someone who's really loud and likes to break things. But remember, Avril is not that.
I have an attitude. I like to throw shit around. I like to go nuts. I like to lose myself on stage. I like to scream. I like to holler. I like to break things. I like to yell. I like to get my anger out.
But guys, she's not punk. She just does all those things. I mean, her music isn't punk, but she's just a little shit. But yeah, she's not punk, guys, but she likes to throw shit on stage like all punk artists, and she likes to act like a child. But she's not punk, guys. She's not punk at all. And then she realizes immediately that she's contradicted herself.
You know what? Everyone has their own opinion on everybody, but I'm not the one who went out there and called myself punk and skater, and so many people look at that and read that and think, oh my god, she's so fake. And skater, punk, everybody be like, she's so fake. She can't even skateboard. She's not punk. What are they talking about? I totally think that. So I understand where everybody comes from. But what everybody needs to understand is that's not me who did that.
So if you can't follow her because she's dumb as shit and she's kind of illiterate, she's saying that she's frustrated that she has a punk image, that the media views her as a punk rocker. And she's like, I'm not punk. And then goes on to say this.
Right now, I don't particularly like the image that's out there of me right now. It's too pop.
What the hell? You just said the media was like, oh, I'm too punk. Now she's like, probably too pop. Make up your mind, Avril. Oh my god.
Everybody just expected me to show up with spikes on my wrists and a tank top and a tie.
She's wearing spikes on her wrist, a tank top and a tie in the interview. Yet she... Oh my god. This is why people don't give a shit about you. Except for me, because I'm sad and lonely. Alright, continue.
And stripes everywhere I went. And it started to make me mad, because...
Wasn't that your image? Wasn't that your idea at first?
First of all, yeah.
The interviewer just completely pulled her up. She's like, the interviewer was just like, but you contradicted yourself. She's like, that was your image. And then Avril goes, yeah, you're right, it was. And then she ends it with the most hypocritical statement ever.
I was the one who came up with my own style. I pick my own clothes.
Okay, so Avril Lavigne, she picks her own style. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, maybe I have a stylist.
She picks her own style, but also has a stylist. Also, so that's pretty much what I wanted to... I don't know why I ended it like that. But God, my point is I couldn't put that in the video. She's so dumb. Whoa. You think like, oh yeah, maybe she's just, oh my... Like, obviously she married Chad Kroger and stuff, and you're like, yeah, she must be a bit ditzy. Holy shit. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Please, if you've got to this point, would love it if you rated it 5 stars on iTunes. Again, giving credit where credit's not due is a great thing to do. So 5 stars on iTunes. Let's get it back up in the charts this week. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much for listening, and keep sending in your questions, because admit that was probably the best part of the podcast when I was answering the questions. So luke.kidgell@gmail.com, or Luke Kidgell on Facebook. Send me questions. I would love to hear them, and I really appreciate you all getting involved. Thank you so much for listening to Chapter 2 of Memoirs of a White Guy. I haven't decided on a title yet, but you will already know what the title is by now. Thank you very much. Oh wait, also next week, Megaphone's coming back, because I think we can all agree that was the best part of the first podcast. So, and I said, I'm not going to have a megaphone. I don't know why. It was the best thing. So next week, definitely going to be a megaphone involved. So get keen for that. Chapter 3, no, wait, already lost count. Chapter 2 of Memoirs of a White Guy, concluded. How do you conclude a book? I don't read, because LadBible don't really conclude their articles. So, yeah. Alright, goodbye. I'm going to go cry.